everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Cody. I am a staffer with Storm and I Am Bowling. And today we're going to be taking a look at one of those brand new Storm bowling balls that are coming out. It is the Storm DNA. However, before we do, just a couple quick things. If you do indeed like the video that you see here today, make sure you drop a like down below. It tells me that I'm doing a halfway decent job. And also feel free to hit that subscription button so that you can keep up to date with all the videos that I put out. Also hit that bell notification so that you are completely notified when I do indeed put a new video out. We got the IQ Tour Ruby coming out and also a couple other videos that I'm looking forward to making. So hit that subscription button and hit that bell notification so that you're notified when I do put out a new video. Now also, as I mentioned, I am a staffer with Storm and I Am Bowling, and I Am Bowling makes some pretty cool jerseys. So you can use my promo code down here. It's going to be FIRO07. You can use that at checkout and save yourself 20% off of your I Am Bowling apparel orders. Now, they do sell bowling balls as well. That promo code does not work with the bowling balls. It is strictly apparel, but you can pick up a Storm jersey and you can even pick out a Storm bowling ball on their website, so feel free to head on over and check them out. Otherwise, you can get your Storm bowling balls, Storm Rotogrip 900 Global bowling balls from your local Storm VIP Pro Shop. You can go on Storm's website and check out where the nearest VIP Pro Shop is, and then head on over there, get yourself a new rock punched up. Hopefully it's going to be this DNA coming up this week. Now, let's dive into some of the specs of this DNA. I laid it out in a 4 3/4 by 3.5 by 3.5. It's a new layout that I'm trying. I saw it from Luke Rosedahl. He put it on a reality. I really like the way that ball shaped for him, so I figured I might as well try it myself. This pattern that we're going to be bowling on is our typical 41-foot typical house shot. I also put out a 39-foot tungsten pattern from Kegel. Now, both of these patterns do have some games on it. The league pattern in and of itself is fairly carried down. I threw this after a women's league, so it is fairly carried down. The tungsten pattern is a little shorter, so there was a little bit more shape with that bowling ball. However, that was a little bit carried down too. So take everything you see with a grain of salt. This ball does have some back end on it, and I'm really looking forward to showing you guys how this DNA operates. So stay tuned. Here we go with the lanes portion of this review, arguably the most important part of this review. Now, we're throwing the DNA to start. The out-of-box finish with this DNA is 2000 Aberlon. That comes out of box again. The cover is the new Exo Solid Reactive cover stock. This is the first time this cover stock has ever been used. Since it's the first ever time, it's unknown where this cover fits in, at least to me, because Storm has not updated their cover charts yet. So again, don't really know where this cover fits in, but it certainly is strong, that's for sure. And I think you could tell maybe with these last couple shots here. The core in this DNA is the Supercoil core. This is, again, the first time this has ever been used, so again, it's unknown how strong this core really is compared to the others. Again, Storm has not updated their cover charts, so that really I'm able to look. However, this is certainly going to be kind of in the upper echelon of what this cover and the strength of this core is going to be. Now, the numbers on this ball is RG of 247, differential of 053, and the mass bias is 023, so it's very asim. Probably one of the more asymmetric cores that's probably out there. And we are going to be comparing this ball up to the Supernova. We have a couple more shots here with the DNA. Again, sorry for the focus issues here. I didn't have the camera placed in the right spot, so at least you're able to kind of see where this ball tracks down lane at least. And I think we have one more 10-pin that's going to be thrown here. I think this kind of says like how early a little bit this cover stock is. Nope, not a 10-pin, through the nose. Again, very strong core. But now we have the Supernova coming up here. And we've seen the Supernova before in a couple reviews. Obviously, we did review the Supernova at one point, but this cover, or I'm sorry, it comes out of box at 2000, so it comes out of the box the same as what that DNA comes out at. The cover is the NEX cover. This is the 6th time that this NEX cover has been used. The Supernova is the latest that this cover was used. And the first time that this cover was used was on that Storm Axiom. This is, at this point, according to the charts, without the EXO cover being on there, this NEX cover is the strongest cover according to their charts. The core in this supernova is the ignition core. This is the 9th time the ignition core was used. It is the latest time that this was used. The first time was the Gate overseas. The Gate series overseas was a fairly well-known series overseas. There were, I think, 7 Gate balls that were out there, but they introduced this ignition core with the Nova series, and again, over here, the only time this ignition core was used was for the original Nova and then for this supernova. This ignition core is the 7th strongest core. Again, that does not figure in the supercoil core that the DNA has, but this, again, is the 7th strongest core according to the Storm charts. This comes with an RG of 249, differential of 052, and a mass bias of 019. So this is, in and of itself, a fairly asymmetric core, but not quite as asymmetric as what this DNA is. Overall, when you're comparing the numbers, again, the DNA has an RG of 247, differential of 053, and a mass bias of 023. The supernova has an RG of 249, differential of 052, mass bias of 019. So, according to those numbers, what that tells me is this DNA is probably a little bit stronger, a little bit earlier than what that supernova is. Now we're throwing this DNA on the 39-foot tungsten pattern from Kegel. This is a sport shot. It has a ratio of, I believe it's around 7 to 1, whereas a normal league shot is usually between 10 and 15 to 1. So a little bit tougher. I would say according to, not really according to, but kind of what I saw was there was a little bit more motion down lane for this DNA on maybe a little bit shorter of a pattern. I would take all of the shots you're seeing with a grain of salt. I think that once you get a couple games in this DNA, you certainly get a lot more motion front to back, and also a little bit more motion down lane and kind of through the pins. It really gets through the pins very, very well. But again, I would take everything you see with a grain of salt. I think the cover kind of needs a couple games to kind of get activated and really start rolling true to what I think it was designed for. So a couple more shots here with the DNA. You are also going to see a sneak peek of one of the other balls that's going to be coming out this week, and that is going to be the IQ Tour Ruby. So we got one more shot here with the DNA, and then you'll be able to see that IQ Tour Ruby go down the lanes. Alright, so we saw the DNA go down the lanes, and the DNA looked really, really good. First impression, actually, once I got the email saying that the DNA was coming out, I honestly really wasn't excited. I was expecting to see something more like a supernova, more like a gem, more like a reality, and quite frankly, that's not what we got. You hear something with a really, really big surface, big core, you see those numbers, you think it's going to be a really sort of early rolling, more forward, more smoother sort of reaction, big ASIM piece, and really that's not what we got. Personally, I think this ball is certainly strong, right? Possibly too strong for a league shot, especially if your league shot is a little drier with less mils of oil. However, it does shape really, really well down lane. It gets through the pins really, really well. I can actually sort of hook the lane with this ball, which is generally something I'm not able to do with these big ASIM pieces. Generally, they roll really, really early for me, and I can't necessarily get them to shape down lane, especially when I'm trying to hook the lane, but this ball does really, really well with that. So who's this ball for? Certainly, if you're looking for a strong ball, this ball has been compared more towards the alpha crux and the proton physics rather than a gem and a reality. Like I mentioned before, it's not so forward and it shapes really, really well. It's not really necessarily too smooth, something that's going to be controllable. For me, it's certainly going to be something when I need something that's strong, maybe on sort of like a cliff condition, if I bump left and there's soup in the middle and hook outside, I feel like I'll be able to throw this one, create some shape, but still really, get a smoother sort of reaction out of it while still maintaining, like I said, that shape. So this ball is really good. I think this is probably going to be in my top 5 balls of the year. I really do like this ball. I normally do gravitate more towards ASIM pieces, especially ASIM pearls, but this ASIM solid is looking really good, and I hope they continue this lineage as well for a long time. So again, are you getting one? Do you plan on getting a DNA? Do you already potentially have one? Let me know down in the comments down below. Up next is the IQ Tour Ruby. Obviously, I gave you a little bit of a sneak peek there, but the IQ Tour Ruby looks really good as well. But until that video, guys, good luck and good bowling.